I'm going to take a look at some images here. I am working on the Image Grid plugin. I posted a video about it, but that plugin might be a little bit of overkill just for aligning some images. So let's say I just have some images here, got 4 of them, but they're stacking up and down. I just want them to go right across my page. So how do we do that? In the editor, you see I've got 2 content items. So one just has the images and the other has the text below it. And if I'm trying to align these, I'll probably, I can start using these, the WYSIWYG tools. And just an FYI, if you're trying to design with these tools, you're going to run into a lot of problems. I'm sure you already have, so I don't recommend using these. I'm just going to replicate the issues I've been seeing. So let's do left align. This guy should have left align also. So if I left align all of these, it's actually creating some inline styles. Style equals float left. And also, anytime I add an image, it gives it the class image responsive. And both of these things are is what's causing some design issues. So, okay, those look kind of aligned. I wish they were aligned like at the top or actually in the middle. They look a little goofy, but let's see what that does on the front end. Okay, everything's floated left. And all of a sudden we've got like 2 columns. This content should be below. So that's the problem with the float. The higher logic grid doesn't treat floats very well. We're missing actually some CSS. One of the first things I'll put into a theme is going to be a clear fix. So we have content item HTML. If we do, so this is a clear fix. So this could really be in the base product or the base CSS files, because I'm never gonna not want to clear my floats, and I see it throughout the system. There's some weird HTML that's been generated in some of the controls because of the float clearing issue, but it's actually pretty easy. Just by adding this on the elements that you need to be cleared, and I'll share this CSS in the thread here, and so that'll probably help you some of the time if you've been adding images and then trying to align. All of a sudden you goofed up some other part of your page. You're not sure why. It's because of the float clearing issue that we need to add CSS just so it clears the float properly. But okay, I can see my images, they're still not aligning exactly the way I want. So I'm just going to back out. And I already gave this class sponsors, or I could call it logos. I need something to hook onto because I'm going to be adding some styles on these images, some CSS, and I only want to affect these images. I'm going to do another screen recording talking about regression issues, some unintentional mistakes we start creating when we're styling elements all at once. So we always want to hook on to something. This is a great way to do that. I'm going to go back. I'm going to unclick this align. I don't want any floats going on here. Just check my HTML. Here they are. Not sure where this div came from. Don't need that. So I just have a bunch of bunch of images, no inline styles. We have width and height, that's fine. I'm going to keep those. And we still have the image responsive class. I'm just going to hit save, see what we have now on the front end. Okay, so they're stacking. Again, I don't really want that. But what we can do now, I still just want them to be aligned going across the page. I have this class called sponsors. And by the way, image responsive, I don't really like this, how it adds it on every image. I'm just going to change this real quick. Image responsive X. So you can see by changing that class, my images start to stack already. So what's going on when we have image responsive, it's telling it to display as a block. In this instance, I don't actually want that. I want it to display as an inline block, which images naturally do, I think, in the browser. But so display block, in display block you can't have stuff align up across the page. So okay, I have to deal with image responsive because even if I remove image responsive in the editor, HTML editor, anytime I click it and replace the image, it puts that image responsive class back in. So I'm just going to deal with this class. I'm going to write a new style dot sponsors. That's the parent element we saw before. Sponsors image responsive. I'm going to tell it to display back to what I want as an inline block. And then, and they're already, vertically aligned the way I want them. That's good. Actually, sponsors, let me just center. Now we can do text align center. And then on my images, I could tell it to margin 0 on the top, and then maybe 20 pixels on the sides, maybe 30, 40, whatever. And so there we go. I've aligned my images across the top. And this should respond pretty well. I'm not sure what's behind my browser window. Okay. So they just start stacking. And also, part of the image responsive class, it tells it to be max width 100%. Which you want to maintain that, but the display block, we don't always want that, so I'm basically overriding the image responsive, but only inside sponsors. There are places, like the logo of your site in the header, that you do want to be responsive as it was intended to be. But luckily, the images are still responsive, they're just not displaying as a block.